Boom. Good morning. Good afternoon. I hope you're feeling good whenever you watch this, is my point. I'm feeling great, if you couldn't tell. So, there's something I wanted to talk about, something that's on my mind right here, right now, today. Long term, man. Long term. You got to have that long-term vision. You got to have that long-term sense of success. You got to alleviate your sense of rush and impatience, right? See, a lot of times what happens is we see all this material success. We see these other people having success, and we fall into comparisons, right? We fall into the trap of putting ourselves or not accepting and appreciating our own shoes, right? And then we also, there envy, jealousy, these different emotions get involved and it's an entirely negative thing that come from a lack of gratitude, that come from a lack of long-term vision. You see? When you have a long-term vision, you don't worry. You don't worry about what's happening in the short term. You don't worry about the stress. You don't worry about everything that's going on in the moment that isn't positive, that isn't conducive of the rightful state. Yeah, you care about it. Yeah, you pay attention to it to where you can manage it, right? You can't just not pay attention to stress, no. But you keep your mind where it needs to be. You keep that goal, that long-term mindset, right? You keep that vision strong. You pay attention mostly to that vision. While you're going through that stressful period, while you're going through that stress, you're not worrying and stressing about every little part of that stress. What you're doing is you're keeping that long-term vision. You're saying, you know what? How would I in 10 years solve this? How would my best self do better in this situation? Or if you have a mentor that you look up to in that way, how would so-and-so do in a situation like this? What would it look like if I reacted to this as worse as I possibly could? What would it look like if I reacted to this as best as I possibly could? What is the long-term effect? Right? Because ultimately, we're kind of doing this either way. When we're worried about the short term, we're like stressing about what happens a few minutes later, what happens a few hours later, what happens a few days later. But we're thinking about it in a very stressed, not really realistic way. We're worried. We're playing out all these situations on our head of this, minuscule stress in terms of how great you could be, how great the moment could be, how much greatness you could have. But your mind's playing tricks on you, brother. You got a habit of overthinking. You got a habit of being worried and allowing your energetic state to shift to that of which is going to harm you. You got to be able to realize this, accept it for what it is, identify where it's coming from, and change it. Get it the fuck out of there. I promise you it's going to hold you down until you do. Until you do get rid of it. Until you work against it and find a way to break it down and be better than it. Right? It's partially the devil, if you ask me. Right? We must be we must be ready to embrace the unknown. We must be ready to have that vision for the future that is good, that is bright, that is shiny in the right way, right? Not bright and shiny syndrome, that kind of stuff. Are you being long-term or are you being short-term? So much in my life, I have watched so many issues come into fruition by people or situations or companies or whatever being short-term based. All their thinking is being based in the short term. Whereas everybody who does really well, the people who succeed on an extremely high level, the companies that succeed on a high level, they're always worried about the long term. They're always planning ahead. You see, it's the realistic way of doing things rather than being overly emotional about the short term. You got to be logical and emotional, right, in the right way about the long term. But you see, what happens is we fall into this trap. We're so the matrix, the societal constraints that we live in, teach us to be overly emotional. They teach us to be unemotionally controlled. Mental health awareness, yeah, take care of your mental health, but not in the way that you should always be like feeling down, right? Mental health awareness is about being strong and being fucking tough and fixing your issues that are causing mental health. Not magnifying mental health for the sake of magnifying mental health. You look around a lot of times with that society thing that we have going on in America, at least, and a lot of what it's doing is just magnifying the mental health issues we have. It's like, yeah, I have anxiety. I really do. I really have anxiety. Great, dude. Are you going to fix it? Are you going to solve it? It's not something you want to live with the rest of your life. Living with it for the majority of my first half of my life was hell. Hell for me. Hell for people around me. It did nothing good. And it was my ability to accept that it wasn't a part of me, that it was just a part of my previous mental condition that I can alleviate myself of, I can break the habits of, has brought me ultimate success and joy in whatever I want to do. It isn't no longer holding me back from the life I want to live, simply because of old habits. But we live in this society that's all about labels. It's all about quick fixes. You see, when you have the label that the doctor gives you and the quick fix that the doctor also gives you, why would you do the work of fixing it in the long? Why would you think long term and fix it? What? I can take a pill. A doctor can give me a little bit of advice, give me some sort of medication to fix it, and I don't have to worry about it anymore? What? Okay, I'm not going to go and go through the hard work of inner work, where I'm thinking back into my childhood, where I'm accepting the realities that I've created. I'm not taking responsibility. I can just take a pill. That's the joke of modern life. That's the joke of modern health. One of them. It's a direct example of short-term based thinking instead of long-term. We're constantly taught to wire our brains into thinking we can fix our issues with ease. Like we can fix our issues with quick band-aid fixes, right? We'll do something for 10 years of our life and expect somebody to fix it in a day or even a week or even a year. Now, don't get me wrong, you can make tremendous leaps and bounds of progress and improvement in any given period of time with the right mindset. But the time just takes time though, man. Time just takes time, and effort takes effort. It sucks to feel, it sucks to hear, but you effortlessly put yourself in the situation you're in right now. You effortlessly became anxious. You effortlessly, I don't know if I sound stupid saying that, but you used effort to be depressed. It took energy out of you, and you consciously did it to have the issues that you have now. It sucks and it hurts to fucking feel that, but you need to feel it. Because when you feel it and you take ownership, you can change it. You don't need somebody else to fix it for you. You're not constantly waiting on somebody else, some different situation to change and fix it. You're taking conscious action. You can actually make a difference and make an improvement and be in a better position with that. But it takes the fucking maturity to accept where you're at and why you're there. Accept whatever it was from your environment that helped you get to that point, and take ownership of it still being your conscious decision. Those first years of life as a child, yeah, you are entirely absorbing, and it's not your fault of your environment. But the saying goes, it may not be your fault, but it is your problem. It is something you got to fix, or it's going to continue to haunt you. Though you may have had a fucked up childhood, you may have had some shit going on that you don't want to tell anybody, you don't even want to accept it happen, you're still like covering it up mentally. But you got to accept it, and you got to face it, and you got to really look at where you are because of it to then make improvement. You got to start on ground zero, man. You don't want to build off a cracked foundation, do you? Imagine they built your house off a cracked foundation. That motherfucker's cracking. It's sliding to the left. It's sliding to the right. The house doing a cha-cha, and it's not even right. You know, like, come on now. Come on now. Think differently than what everybody else does. Do not fall into the trap of short-term thinking, man. Break that tie to society that says I need to be doing what everybody else does because everybody else is fucking miserable. There's a very small group of people. And then there are small groups of people within the small group of people. Right? Right? Like you might know somebody at work who works that job there. Everybody else likes the job, but that one person likes their job. They're going against the grain in that way. They like their job. They appreciate why they're there. They are appreciative and grateful. A lot of times in America, in my experience, it's the people from outside of the country. It's the people who have, migrated, whatever you want to say, and they're here, they're doing their thing, they're working their ass off typically too, and they enjoy the position. They appreciate it. They are grateful. So many of us nowadays are so ungrateful we don't even know how good we got it, so we just continuously create our own problems instead of accepting the work of the moment and doing what we need to do. right? Be conscious, man. Be conscious. Choose to make a difference in who you want to be in this life. Choose to think different than most. Don't fall into short-term thinking, being so worried about each little moment. Be present, be grateful for each little moment, but have a vision for the future. Already be a part of that future in the present moment. That's a different topic. That's visualization. That's real. That's attention. And it works. It's be grateful. Because when you're grateful for the short term and you're thinking of the long term. You're saying, where am I going in the future? Don't fall into it. Don't be someone who the long term is irrelevant. I can't even think ahead. I can't even think past the next 10 minutes, let alone my next 10 years. Why? Because your stress isn't managed? Come on, man. Everybody's got stress. In fact, the people who are most successful, a lot of times they have the most stressful situations because they found a way to regulate their mind. They found a way to regulate their stress. They found a way to make their energy most efficient. And again, this is a different thing. Most successful, that's up to you to decide. That's subjective, right? To me, someone who's most successful is someone who enjoys and appreciates and chooses to be where they are. The most successful person is the guy doing carpentry work who does his absolute best job and loves it. And he's a great family man. And he has everything in his life that is important to him is dialed in to where he knows, to where he wants to be. He's not avoiding it. He's not chasing vices and pleasures to avoid the reality that he's not happy with where he is. He's consciously grateful. And his conscious gratitude has brought him to the point. He's thought long term while being grateful of the moments. And it has brought him into where he needs to be, where he wanted to be originally. Success. Live your life, man. But really choose to live it. Really be who you need to be. Really take action and decide where it is you're heading. And love every single fucking second of it, man. Because it could all be over tomorrow. You got this, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you really enjoyed this. Let me know below what you thought. If you had any ideas, you had any questions. If you disagreed with anything, please let me know. Y'all have a great day. Go crush it. Let's go get it.